Okay, so now we're going to take a look at some camera tracking. So we're going to track some images in a bit of film footage, and we're going to get After Effects to analyze this footage and see if we can match some graphics so that it matches the perspective of this camera move. So the camera in the real world on a helicopter presumably is obviously moving and rotating on multiple axes, X, Y, and Z. Roll, rotation, and also position in the real world. So we're going to try and match that, which you can see has already been done in the shot actually. That smoke there has been tracked onto that footage, those visual effects, you can see. So let's do it, see if we can do the same. Now if I start a new composition, let's say 1920 by 1080, and I bring that footage in here and I try and track it, I'm going to run into a problem. So I bring up the tracker, window tracker, and I want to track the camera. I want to replicate what the camera is doing here in After Effects. So if I hit track camera now, it's going to think about it for a while, look at this footage, play it through. Here it goes. Is that number changing there? It's having a little analyzing all those pixels. And let's see what it says. It says solving camera now. It's building a camera for me. But it says layer size must match composition and use default transform values. Now it doesn't like that this bit of video is a different size to the comp. Just the tracker gets confused. So what we need to do is that's comp 4, that one. I'm going to delete that comp. And I'm going to grab the footage and drag that footage, it's called buildings, into the create new comp button. Now I've created a new comp, it's called by the same name, buildings, and it's exactly the same size and duration and probably frame rate, yes, 23.976, some silly frame rate, as the footage. So that's good. Let's try and track the camera now. If I hit track camera, it's going to analyze it again, think about it, go get yourself a cup of coffee, do your ukulele practice, and here we go, solving camera, and now I've got all these tiny little dots all over that footage, and if I scrub through it, you see those little X's are all pretty nicely tracked to all those surfaces on that bit of footage. Cool. Don't need that window anymore. I'm going to ditch that and zoom in here a bit. Now see, if I go across with my cursor, I get this crazy target. I'm still wondering, what surface do I want to track to? Do I want to track to a horizontal? You know, what it's doing, it's in mathematical terms, because of course After Effects has no idea what it's looking at. It doesn't know it's a building, but it is trying to triangulate similarly moving points of data. You notice as I scrub across here, it wants to grab little groups of 3. Doesn't like that, doesn't like that, doesn't like that, doesn't like that, does like that. So if I zoom out here, so to say I wanted to track to the front of this building here, that one there, you see I just grab, we'll zoom out again. I do like the look of that target, feels about right, or maybe I want to put it there. Let's go there. Zoom in again. You see it's grabbed those 3 points. Now I select those 3, any 3, and the angle feels about right to me. I'm going to track something to that. So now I've selected that little triangulation. I right click on it and I'm going to go create solid and camera. There's a few ways you can go about this, but I want to create a solid and a camera for the purposes of this exercise. So here we go. Now, I can select that solid. There it is. It's a big, gigantic, just solid layer. It's enormous, but I'm going to scale it down, take a look at it. And let's play through the footage now. You see that blue thing is pretty nicely tracked to that building, isn't it? But let's see if I can fix it up. I kind of want to line it up. So I'm going to hit the rotation settings. I'm going to rotate on the Z. Get it the same angle as the building, more or less. That'll do. Something like that. The verticals don't feel quite right, do they? But it's pretty close. Okay, I'm going to go with that. Now I'm going to replace that with my graphic. So in here I've got this little, what have I got? I've got this thing. This slightly, somewhat crazy little animation I made. So I want to put that on the side of the building. So where's my building? I want comp 2. So I'm actually going to use option, click and drag, and that's going to replace, it's a really cool, you can do it in Premiere as well. I want to replace this with this and keep all of its position settings. I can just do it with the option key. Option, click and drag to here. I get that little plus. Now my comp is tracked. I'm going to turn the audio off of that footage. There we go. I'm tracked to the side of that building now, more or less. It's pretty big though, isn't it? So let's scale it down a little. Whoops. Let's scale down to about there. I might put a bit of a effect on it too. I'm going to go for a corner pin, which is in Effects, Distort Corner Pin. You can also search for it by going to your Effects and Presets window and just type in corner pin. There it is. I'm going to drag that onto here because I want to put a bit of perspective on this. I want to quite like the way it's wound. It's close, but I want to make those verticals the same. So I'm just going to do that. Put that down there. I'm going to put that up there. I'm going to put maybe that down there. And I'm going to scale it a bit more. Cool. Bring it down on the Y a bit. Okay, it's pretty well tracked to the side of that building now, I think. It's going to go, let's have a look later on in the shot. Yeah, it's looking good. But of course, the building in the foreground is a problem now, right? It should be behind this building. So how do I deal with that? Well, I grab that layer there, the background layer, the buildings video from the movie. I'm going to duplicate that layer and put it in front of everything, in front of my graphic. Now I'm going to put a little mask there. First I'm going to go in the middle. I like to start in the middle when I'm doing this sort of thing. So I'm going to go, I'll do it roughly first and then I'll clean it up. I don't want it to go, I want it to stay on this face. So I'm going to make my mask go like that, something like that. I've created a mask, this top layer is just existing inside that mask. Let's solo it, you can see it there. Now, of course, I want to animate that mask because it's going to move over time, right? So I do mask path, and I'm going to do the beginning. Remember we talked about that? Let's grab that point there and bring it down to here. I'm going to grab those 2 points and bring them down to there. Okay, that's there. I'm going to do the end and then start splitting. Whoops. Oh, there's the end. Whoops, where's my comp gone? Ah, okay. So there's the end. I'm going to make that smaller for a start. Something like that, right? Again, I'm doing this roughly, but I'll get it in I'll get it some of the way there and then I can come and clean it up later. I might need to do that, mightn't I? Just to make, anyway, so now let's start splitting the difference. I won't go the detailed version of this to keep the video short, but split the difference again. Well, it's pretty close. You see the value of splitting the difference when you're doing animating masks. It's pretty powerful. Save yourself a lot of time if you get that technique working. Now, okay, I'm over 10 minutes now, so I'm going to just try and keep this short and just play the rough version. Let's see. Now, of course, before I went any further, I would want to, if I wanted to put this in a 1920 by 1080 comp now, I could just change this comp value, to 1920 by 1080, but in fact I'd probably leave it like that and I'd drag this into a new comp and make this one 1920 by 1080. It's going to crop the edges a bit, and I could scale it up now if I wanted to, or whatever I wanted to do, or fit it into however I wanted to work. I'd also, of course, before I did anything else, I would definitely be color grading this now. So I would be like putting some levels on this. It's very bright and shiny, isn't it? So you could color grade it down to match shot, put a bit of purpley blue stuff in there, perhaps with a color balance. Let's put a bit of maybe some blues. Go towards blue, bit of cyan. Maybe that's ugly. Maybe it's nice having it all crazy and shiny. Let's go back. I'll just take all that off. Okay, that's the rough version. So you can see, even though it's taking a little while to play, there you go. It's tracked pretty nicely to that shot. And that's the camera tracker in After Effects. It's very useful in all sorts of scenarios when you're working with video and motion graphics.